let's check out what changes have come to the Sorcerer. If you want me to go through all the spells, I'll make a different spells video, just let me know. Alright, Innate Sorcery. As a bonus action, you can unleash your magical energy. Your spell save DC increases by 1 for a minute, and you have advantage on attack rolls of sorcerer spells you cast. Wow. That's kind of huge. Wow. You can use it twice per long rest. That's pretty crazy. That's like just straight buff to the sorcerer. Wow. Alright. Level 2, you get Font of Magic, which is where you get your sorcery points. You can't have more sorcery points than shown on the table. Sorry, coffee locks. And you regain your sorcery points on a long rest. You can use a spell slot to gain a number of sorcery points equal to the slot's level. And as a bonus action, you can change sorcery points into spell slots. So, and there is a level cap as well. All right. Meta Magic, level 2. We will go through the meta magic options whenever we see it. But you get those at the same level now, which is nice, because I believe it used to come at level 3. At level 5, you get Sorceress Restoration. On a short rest, you get your sorcerer points back, but no more than half of your sorcerer level amount. So whatever your sorcerer level is, that's the cap, or half of your sorcerer level is the cap for regaining sorcery points on a short rest. So you don't get all of them, but you get some of them. And you can do that once per long rest. At level 7, if you have no uses of innate sorcery left, you can use it by spending 2 sorcery points. That's great, because innate sorcery is awesome, and I love it. Like, I right off the bat, I feel like sorcerer is much more viable compared to other casters. And then, while that innate sorcery is active, you get another benefit. You can use 2 meta magic options on each spell that you cast. That's crazy. Level 19, you get your epic boon. Level 20, arcane apotheosis. When your innate sorcery is active, you can use 1 meta magic option on each of your turns without spending sorcery points. So not only can you use 2 different meta magics per spell, but one of them is free. That's pretty great. Okay, your meta magic options. Careful spell. When you cast a spell that forces other creatures to make a saving throw, you can protect creatures up to your charisma modifier. They automatically succeed against the throw and take no damage. That is a buff. Before, they would still take damage, and that sucked. But that is much better now. Distant spell. When you cast a spell that has a range of at least 5 feet, you double the range. Or if it's a touch spell, you can make the range 30 feet. Empowered spell. You can spend 1 sorcery point to re-roll the damage dice up a number of damage dice equal to your charisma modifier. You must use the new rolls. And you can use empowered spell even if you already use a different meta magic option during the casting of the spell. So technically you could do 3 meta magics. You get your free one, the one that costs something, and then your empowered spell. That's cool. Extended spell. When you cast a spell that has a duration of 1 minute or longer, you can spend 1 sorcery point to double the duration to a max of 24 hours. If the spell requires concentration, you have advantage to maintain that concentration. That's new, and I like it. Heightened spell. When you cast a spell that forces a creature to make a saving throw, spend 2 sorcery points to give one target disadvantage. I like that. That's also cheaper. I believe it was 3 sorcery points before. Quicken spell. When you cast a spell that has a casting time of an action, spend 2 sorcery points to change it to a bonus action. You can't modify a spell in this way if you've already cast a level 1 or higher spell on the current turn. Nor can you cast a level 1 or higher spell on this turn after modifying the spell in this way, because you should only be able to cast 1 leveled spell per turn. Seeking spell. If you make an attack roll for a spell and miss, 1 sorcery point, you can reroll the d20. And you can use Seeking spell even if you've already used a different meta magic option. So you can use 4, technically. You have your free one, you have your bonus one, you have your empowered spell, and your Seeking spell. That's pretty crazy. Then subtle spell. When you cast a spell, spend 1 sorcery point to do it without verbal, somatic, or material components. That's speaking, moving your arms, and requiring an object, except material components that are consumed by the spell or that have a cost specified in the spell. That's fair. Transmuted spell, which I believe came to us courtesy of Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. You can use a sorcery point to change the damage of a spell from acid, cold, fire, lightning, poison, or thunder to a different type from that list. And then finally, twin spell. When you cast a spell that can be cast with a higher level spell slot to target an additional creature, spend a sorcery point to increase the spell's effective level by 1. That's a heavy nerf, because it used to just be, if you cast a spell, then you can double that spell against a different creature. This makes a lot more sense. This is a fair nerf, I would say. So, if it already has the ability to target another creature at higher levels, you can do so with sorcery points rather than upcasting the spell. Then, the Sorcerer's spell list goes on and on and on. If you want me to cover spells, let me know. That'll be a different, very lengthy video. Alright, Aberrant Sorcery. You get your psionic spells. You get telepathic speech. I think you used to be able to cast these subtly, but I don't see any text about that, so we'll see. Alright, telepathic speech. As a bonus action, choose a creature within 30 feet. You can communicate telepathically. While you're within a number of miles equal to your charisma modifier. And you have to use the same language. This lasts for a number of minutes equal to your sorcerer level. And you can only use it with 1 creature at a time. Alright, level 6. When you cast any level 1 or higher spell from your Psionic Spells feature, you can cast it with spell slots or using sorcery points. If you use sorcery points, here we go. It requires no verbal or somatic components, and it requires no material components unless they are consumed by the spell or have a cost assigned to it. So I think they upped the level of that, if I'm remembering correctly. Level 6, you have resistance to psychic damage, an advantage against charm and frightened. Level 14, as a bonus action, spend a sorcery point to alter your body for 10 minutes. Or more sorcery points. For each one that you spend, you gain one of the following benefits. You can get a swim speed equal to twice your speed and breathe underwater. You gain a fly speed equal to your speed, and you can hover. You can see invisible creatures within 60 feet that aren't behind total cover. And, or, your choice, your body to become slimy and pliable. You can move through any space as narrow as 1 inch. And you can spend 5 feet to escape non-magical restraints or being grappled. Solid. And then level 18 is Warping Implosion. As a magic action, you can teleport to an unoccupied space within 120 feet. After you disappear, creatures within 30 feet of where you left make a strength save. On a failed save, they take 3d10 force damage, and they are pulled toward the space that you left. On a successful save, they take half as much damage, but they're not moved. Once you use this feature, it comes back on a long rest, or you can spend 5 sorcery points to do it again. Not a lot of changes here. It's kind of just as is. Any changes are very subtle and not quite noticeable. So I'd say on par with the old version, which is not actually that old. I think that one and Clockwork Sorcery came out most recently for sorcerers. So Clockwork Sorcery. You get your Clockwork spells. You can also restore balance. When a creature within 60 feet of you has advantage or disadvantage, you can use a reaction to make it a normal roll. You can do that number of times equal to your charisma modifier, and they come back on a long rest. At level 6, as a magic action, you can expend 1 to 5 sorcery points. Create a ward for yourself or another creature within 30 feet. You have a number of d8s equal to the number of sorcery points spent. And when the warded creature takes damage, expend a number of those dice and reduce the damage by the total rolled on those dice. The ward lasts until you finish a long rest or until you use it again. Level 14, you get Trance of the Order as a bonus action. Attack rolls against you can't benefit from advantage. And whenever you roll a d20, anything 9 or lower becomes a 10. That's nice. I appreciate that. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest or you spend 5 sorcery points. I feel, and this could be totally wrong, but for some reason I'm remembering that just everything was a 10. But this actually sounds more accurate. Oh, I take that back. This is correct. I think this is the same as it was before. Level 18 is Clockwork Cavalcade. As a magic action, you summon spirits in a 30-foot cube. Spirits look like there's constructs. They're intangible, invulnerable, and they create some effects. Once per long rest, or you can use 7 sorcery points to do it again. You can heal up to 100 hit points divided among creatures that you choose within the cube. Any damaged objects entirely in the cube are repaired instantly, and every spell of level 6 or lower ends on creatures and objects within the cube. That is nice. I do like that a lot. So those 2 subclasses were pretty solid, but they were also newer. And I feel like they didn't get much change, if any. The Draconic Sorcerer is older, though, so let's see what happens. Let's see. Your hit point maximum increases by 3 and increases by 1 whenever you gain another sorcerer level. That's just equivalent to what it was before. It used to be at level 1. Let's see. Your AC is 10 plus your dexterity and charisma modifiers. That's buffed for sure. That is much better unarmored defense. You get some draconic spells, which you didn't get before, so that's appreciated. Level 6, you get elemental affinity. You get resistance to a damage type: acid, cold, fire, lightning, or poison. Interesting that thunder isn't on that list. You have resistance to that damage type, and when you cast a spell that deals damage of that type, you add your charisma modifier to one damage roll of that spell. Interesting. At level 14, you get dragon wings. They last for 1 hour. They lasted a lot shorter last time, in the last book in 2014. For the duration, you have a fly speed of 60 feet. And you can do it once per long rest, or again with 3 sorcery points. Love that. That's a great, simple buff. And at level 18, you can summon a dragon. I feel like it's disappointing that you don't turn into a dragon, but hey, you get a dragon pal. You can cast it once without a spell slot, and you don't need material components for it. Whenever you start the casting of the spell, you can make it so it doesn't require concentration, and then it only lasts for 1 minute if you choose to do that. But that's a fair trade-off. Alright, that brings us to Wild Magic Sorcery. Another beloved subclass. At level 3, you get Wild Magic Surge. Once per turn, you can roll a d20 immediately after casting a sorcerer spell. If you roll a 20, roll on the Wild Magic Surge table to create a magical effect. If the magical effect is a spell, you can't use meta magic. And will they? They do have the table down there. I won't go through that, but I'll show it on screen so that if you want to pause and take a look at what's there, you can. Okay. It's nice that you get the autonomy from this, because before it relied on the DM, and it was just kind of eh. Alright. Let me adjust my chair. I'm sinking down. Alright. Tides of Chaos, also level 3. You can give yourself advantage on roll of a d20. Once you do so, you must cast a sorcerer's spell with the spell slot, or finish a long rest before you can use this again. If you do cast a sorcerer's spell with the spell slot before finishing a long rest, you automatically roll on the Wild Magic Surge table. This is really fun. Again, the autonomy is with the player on this. It's the only reason I've never played a Wild Magic Sorcerer, because it was up to the DM, and it's like, I just want to roll on the table as much as possible. So, heck yeah, I'll give myself advantage, and then roll, and then advantage, and then roll. Like, that's great. Love it. Awesome. And this is for free, I think. Yeah. Yeah, anytime you roll a d20, you can just give yourself advantage. That's great. It's awesome. I love it. Alright. At level 6, after another creature you can see rolls a d20, you can use your reaction and spend a sorcery point to roll 1d4, and it's either a bonus or a penalty to that roll. I feel like it was 2d4 before, and it was a little bit different, but I'm okay with this because of the other changes. And at level 14, whenever you roll on the Wild Magic Surge table, roll twice and use either number. Great, simple, love it. And then finally, level 18, create immediately after you cast a sorcerer spell with the spell slot, create an effect of your choice from the Wild Magic Surge table instead of rolling. Wow. You can choose any effect in the table except for the final row, and if the chosen effect involves a roll, you must make it. That's cool. So you go from 1 roll to 2 rolls to choose whatever the heck you want, just not the last row. Once you use this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. So here's the Wild Magic Surge table. This is going to be numbers 1 through 56 that you can look at clearly. And there's not 100 options on here anymore. I think that simplifies things a little bit. And then here's the other half of the table there. Alright, that's going to be it for the Sorcerer, and we'll be moving on to the Warlock next.